Is this the best retirement income plan on the planet? That's what we're going to talk about here today, my friends. Part 3, the grand finale. Is this the best retirement income plan you can find, that I can find? I don't know. Is it arrogant of me to even presume it is? Yes, absolutely. Did I find it? No. I'm sure there's one that's better than this. But for us regular Joes out there, man, this is pretty stellar. You're going to like what you see. I'm telling you, this is pretty stellar. And I cannot wait to share it with you. So welcome, my friends, to Heritage Wealth Planning, the place you come to learn the best retirement income plan that's out there. It's not, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's the best I've found. That's for sure. Let's put it that way. It's the best I've found. So don't forget to subscribe. Comments. Would love to hear your comments. If you have a better alternative, man, throw it out there for sure. Let's hear it. Comments are welcome. Thumbs up. You'll notice here I got the round circular. Let me close this guy out. Headshot because my other Screencast-O-Matic just stopped working on me last night, so I'm going back to use Loom. If there's a little bit of a delay between my lips and what you see, I'm sorry. Just deal with it. It's just the way the technology is. I don't know what else to tell you. Screencast-O-Matic is pretty good for sure in terms of a little bit more straight. When I talk, it looks, it's not lip syncing like Billy Manili, whatever that guy was, the band. But this is the best I got for right now. So it works just fine. So just we'll go on forward and let's see what we got. So I'm excited. So, all right, let's dive right into this, my friends. So we left off where we're going to switch out VWEHX, which is the Vanguard High Yield Bond Fund, and we're going to switch it with VGSIX, which is the Vanguard Real Estate Index Fund, or the REIT Fund, Real Estate Investment Trust. Now, these are all mutual funds, not using any ETFs. So the reason for that is because ETFs are relatively newcomer. And now we're going back to 2001. And while there were some ETFs back then, not many. And again, remember, I've said this a million times, there were no bond ETFs until about 2005 or 6. So that's why we're using mutual funds. I've had a number of people ask me about that. All right. So now what we're doing here, we're saying 5% a year withdrawals, 20% into each of the 4 funds, ANWPX, PENNX, USAGX, VGSIX, 5% a year with a 3% inflation. So I shouldn't say 5% a year. It's 5% initially with a 3% inflation. So we're taking $5,000 the first year, $5,150 the next, $5,305 the next, and so on and so on. We're putting $25,000 in each. We're just looking whatever it has the most money at the year end, and we're pulling that $5,000 somewhat odd dollars out of that account that has the most in there. And what you can see here, and this is where it's interesting, you see the gold and precious metals, just dominates for the first, basically 12 years. Then after that, it's the real estate investment trust. And then the last year is the small cap, the PENX. Isn't that interesting? So if we go up here where we had high yield income fund, high yield bond fund, not one time did we pull money from there. We pulled it all from the USAGX or from the PENX, which is a small mid cap fund. But here, look at that. The real estate investment trust added significant upside. Now, watch the end result. We pulled $108,000, which will forever be the same. There's always going to be the same income we withdraw if you're taking 5% initially and then 3% a year thereafter. We'll always be 108. So we're always drawing the same income. The question is, what's it leaving us with a portfolio value? My friends, $351,000 we're left with. We started with 100. We pulled more than our starting point, 108,000, and we're left with 3.5 times what we started with. That's incredible. That's impressive. If we went back to just the Vanguard High Yield Fund and not the Real Estate Investment, Real Estate Index, Real Estate Investment Trust Fund, we had 304, which is still pretty doggone good. But just switching out those 2 funds, that one fund, I should say, increased our net portfolio value to $351. That's crazy. That's an extra $50,000 you have to spend. So let's see what happened here. In 2008, the previous portfolio went from 261 to 181. Here went from 289 to 193. So not a significant difference in losses. I mean, it did go down $90,000 or so, but 90,000 on 289. Let's get my trusty calculator here. 90,000 divided by 289. That's a 31% decline. Here it went down. 261 minus 181 divided by. What's going on? 261 minus 181 equals divided by 261. 31%. So 30.6% to be precise. The other one's 31%. I mean, just not a significant decline difference there. Here we went from 325, had a one-off year. This is where the high yield fund, went from 288 to 237. Here you have less declines. Went from 318 to 300, 315 to 290. So not only did we have basically the same volatility in the bad year, we had less volatility in from 2013, 14, and 15, and we're left with $351,000. I find that incredible, actually. I mean, look at that. You have the American Funds New Perspective, which is 70% domestic large cap stocks, 30% international large cap stocks. You have the Royce Pennsylvania Mutual Fund, which is but 100% domestic small mid-sized companies. You got USA Precious Metals Fund, Gold and Precious Metals, which is mining stocks, and you have the Real Estate Investment Index from Vanguard. And I mean, look at that. The work now, it got killed in 2008. There's no getting around that. But so did the High Income Fund get killed in 2008, and yet we're left with $351,000. Let's go back to Wellington. Wellington was left with $137,000 and $108,000 distribution. So in this portfolio mix alone, we've increased our net asset value ending by that's $214,000. I'm stunned. And don't forget the fund I was initially saying, the diversified fund that was automatically rebalanced, the VASGX, that was left with $54,000. So this is what's crazy. If you would have made that choice and said, I'm going to buy VASGX in 2001, and you followed this model, you were left with $54,000 and $108,000 you took out. If you would have followed this, what I'm showing you here, which is as 25% in these various four categories, you were left with $351,000, $300,000 more with the same amount of income. That is frightening. This has nothing to do with being a good investment manager. It's just being diversified. Now, obviously, at some point, we'll take this VUSAGX out of the realm and just say, what happens if you didn't have that? Because that is a pretty significant portfolio. But I mean, and it shows you the benefit of being on the upside for sure. And I'll do that next time. I'll get rid of that in another video just to show you what it looks like. But I mean, I'm stunned. I'm stunned by this. It's not like USAGX, by the way, was only up. I mean, it got killed in the last 10 years, but it did well in the first part of it, which is just where diversification really rears its head. If you can have something that doesn't get pummeled. I mean, don't forget, this guy, ANWPX, was down 9% and 17% the first 2 years. PenX was down 10% the second year. The Real Estate Investment Trust was not down at all. But the point was, if you can avoid the first year of getting hammered, and it changes everything. And so in 2008, nothing did anything. So in 2008, we got hammered. Maybe one of these days I'll try this just in 2008 to see what it looked like, because then we could avoid the USAGX giving us all the fundamental upside on the front end. But still, either way, and I will do that. But it's shocking to me. All right, so now we're going to switch up. We still have VGSIX, and we're taking 5% withdrawals as opposed to 5% adjusted with inflation. Here we're just taking straight 5%. And now we're left with a portfolio of $270,000 with income of $181,000. So we took about $75,000 more of income than we did previously, but we're left with $270,000. Again, comparing that to Wellington, in this case, we took $102,000 of income, and we're left with $149,000. So we're doubling on they were doubling the cash value at the end of the 17 years from Wellington. And we're increasing our portfolio by $80,000, our income from that portfolio by $80,000. All right. So for giggles, I said, what if we did a couple things? That was with the Vanguard Windsor Fund, by the way. That was just the Windsor Fund. So here, what if we switched Windsor for ANWPX? And this is where you're taking the American Fund's new perspective fund, and we're saying, all right, so again, this will give us a little bit more international exposure. Here we're saying, so here, I need to validate, to clarify this. So here we're saying American funds, Royce Pennsylvania Fund, USA Gold and Precious Metals, and the Vanguard Real Estate Investment Trust. So here we're using 4 funds from 4 different fund companies. What I just said with 270 was using Vanguard Windsor Fund. And so I want to make sure that we're using international funds as well, some international exposure. And here we're left with 278, and we took $185,000 of income. So the point about that is, if you look at the difference, we have 278 by just adding about a little bit more exposure to international and a little bit more income, but it's not that much. I mean, it's just not that much. The international markets didn't really do a whole lot for us. It did some, don't get me wrong, but not that much. So in this case, the last 17 years, getting a little bit of exposure internationally, it made a little bit of a difference, but it was just a sliver, and that difference could be wiped out in just one fell swoop because it wasn't that much. And that's what I was trying to point out. Adding a little bit of diversification to international stocks, that's 30% of the so basically 30% of that 25,000 is bear with me just a second, 0.3 divided by 25,000. That would be 0.3 times 25,000. That means we have 7.5% of the entirety of our portfolio internationally. That's actually not that low, actually. That didn't do a whole lot, but it did add about a $10,000 gain over the course of 17 years. So it was worth considering for sure, but not enough to make a big deal. That's what I was wanting to point out there. All right, so watch this. I'm adding now international and emerging markets. So here we're saying, so we're going to do 5 funds, 20% into each. 20% in the American Fund's New Perspective, 20% in the Royce Pennsylvania, 20% in USA Gold and Precious Metals, 20% into the Vanguard Real Estate Investment Trust, and 20% into the Vanguard Emerging Markets Fund. 20% each, and so that's $20,000 a pop. What if we do that and we're taking 5% withdrawals from the account that was the highest? Now that's where it gets interesting. So what we're going to find here is we do have two times it comes out of emerging markets, 4 times it comes out of real estate investment trust, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. So it reduced quite a bit for Vanguard or USA Gold and Precious Metals Fund, 2 from the Royce Pennsylvania, not 1 time from the American funds. So we are diversifying our income streams quite a bit here. So remember up here, I mean, if we go up here to where it's just the Vanguard High Income Fund and the Real Estate Investment Trust, I mean, look at that. USA Gold and Precious Metals Fund, I should say the Gold and Precious Metals Fund had the bulk, I mean, the huge majority of the distributions amount. But if we come down here now, we add the, let's go down here. Yeah, right here we had international, a little bit of international over here, and then we add the emerging markets. I mean, it's nuts how much more diversified this is in terms of where the income streams come from. So in this case, we're left with a portfolio balance of 264, and we're able to take $179,000 out. So actually that hurt us. That hurt us quite a bit relative to, so the emerging markets actually hurt us. It hurt us by about $14,000 actually. But so it hurt us by about $14,000 if we had from previously where we had the international with American funds. So basically, the emerging markets. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to show you here is at the end of the day, the emerging markets did not do us any good from a portfolio distribution or income stream. It didn't kill us. But it did reduce us for sure. And I'll share with you the best here in just a second. So that portfolio, while it didn't kill us by stretch, it didn't help diversifying in emerging markets, not at all. So let me just real quick reiterate. When we had emerging markets not included, we had $278,000 in the total portfolio, and we were able to take $185,000 of income. When we added emerging markets, we had $264,000 in the total portfolio at the end of the 17 years, and we're able to take $179,000 of income. So it did cost us, not a huge amount, but it did cost us. If we do it 5% adjusted for inflation, same thing. We had $345,000 at the end of the portfolio, at the end of the 17 years with $108,000 of income. You go back up to the one right here. Hold on just a second. And this is going to be withdrawals and withdrawals from highest account. And this is going to be, bear with me just 1 second, right here. We had right here. We had 351 at the end of the day when we had not the emerging markets with $108,000. So the emerging markets at the end of the day didn't do a whole lot for us. It did. It hurt us a little bit. Not enough to make it worth it to do it, or not worth it not to do it. Just it didn't help us. Let's just put it that way. And again, at the end of the video, I'll share with you what the best was. So finally, I said, what happens if we just put 20% each into those 5 buckets and we didn't touch it? So here's accumulation. So I was dealing with a lady yesterday. She goes, I'm 55. I'm going to retire when I'm 70. What's a good portfolio for me? And, I didn't share this with her because I can't give a specific investment advice, but it's just fun. I was interested to see what it would be like. So we put 20% into the following: the ANWPX, PENX, USAGX, VGSIX, and VEIEX. What did it look like? And at the end of the 17 years, we had $486,000, and we only had 2 down years. That's it. Down here in 2008, of course, and then down, what year is this? This is 2005, and down in 2013. So we went from 393 to 256 in 2008. Minus 256 equals 393 minus 256 divided by 393. We're down 34.8%, which is just a tiny bit more than what the Vanguard total stock index was, or the Vanguard S&P 500 index was. But yeah, we were left with a heck of a lot more money. So we had 34.8% decline in 2008. And then in 2000 was at 14. We went from 456 minus 378 equals 78 divided by 456. And we're down 17% in 2013. That's it. No down years to start the century. Only 2 down years. Both are pretty horrible. Don't get me wrong, but you did not avoid those no matter what anyway. And yet we're ending with $486,000 in our portfolio. 9.74% was the actual annual rate of return. If you started this in 2001 and you went through all the trials and tribulations that came with it, and you're sitting on $500,000 17 years later, that's not a bad place to be. All right, so let's wrap this up. The best portfolio I could find in this regard was these guys right here. All right, I'll show you again. Was right there. Was the American Fund's New Perspective. Again, that's 70% domestic, 30% international large cap stocks. The Royce Pennsylvania Mutual Fund. That's 100% domestic small and mid-sized companies. The USA Gold and Precious Metals. That's 100% mining company stocks. They can go wherever they want. That's the Vanguard Real Estate Investment Trust, the REIT fund. That by far and away, my friends, was the best portfolio I could find. Not only did you get a significant amount of income, however you did it with 5% to start with and 3% each and every year adjusted for inflation, or 5% every single year, you got a significant amount of income. But you were left with well more than double, if not triple, if not 3.5 times your portfolio. $351,000 you're left with. Again, on $108,000 of income, that's adjusted each and every year with inflation. You were left with $351,000 in this portfolio. If you took it out just 5% a year, every single year, you were left with $278,000, but you had an income stream of $185,000. It's nuts. Now, one of these days, I'll probably do a video that says, look, what if we didn't take it from the portfolio? We still left 2 years worth in cash. I'll do that next time. I'll do that here shortly. I'll title it something different. So here we're going to say, look, whenever the portfolio is red, we don't take it from the portfolio. We actually take it from cash. I'll show that. That'd be interesting as well to show you that that'd be almost like the two buckets. You got your portfolio investments and you got your cash bucket. And I'll probably even do that, getting rid of the gold and precious metals fund, because I just frankly don't know how many people would have bought that, put $25,000 in. The point about this whole series, though, is to show you the value of diversification. If you say I got 25, 25, 25, 25, and you don't do anything with it, you don't have to. You don't have to because no one rebalances. I'm just telling you, no one does that. No one rebalances. Obviously, don't get too literal. There are somebody that rebalances. I get that. The vast majority of you and me will not rebalance on any given specific time. I know that. The vast majority of professional managers don't either. I know that. I know that for a fact. I've been in the industry. So if you can avoid rebalancing and say, oh, we're going to rebalance because no one does it, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative is to say, let's get 4 or 5 different buckets of assets that are not quite as heavily correlated, not Fidelity Spartan Index and then the Vanguard S&P 500 Index. That's not diversification. Real estate, gold, small caps, large caps, international, bonds. Throw some bonds in there. Get 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 or 4 even, and just put X amount into each, 25% in each, and then ideally keep some in cash as well. If you were to do that, what does your portfolio look like? And I have a feeling it's going to be great. And then once a year, you just say, okay, January 1st, which one is up? Well, this one's up 30,000. This one's up 35. I need $6,000 from the portfolio. I'm taking it from my one that's up $35,000. That's not labor intensive. It's not laborious. It's pretty simple to do. And then you don't even have to worry about your portfolio. Stop looking around and say, did I pick the right funds? Did I do this? Did I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? But you got to tell yourself, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to leave it be. I'm going to do this. And once a year, I'm going to check into it. That's it. That's it. If you can do that, you're going to be a great investor. I got these 4 or 5 funds, holdings that are diversified. They're not heavily correlated. And I'm just going to check once a year. That's all I'm going to do on my portfolio. It's wonderful. Wonderful. The beauty of diversification. No rebalancing. No rebalancing. We're not rebalancing. This is actually easier than the 2-bucket approach that I was talking about before, where you're pulling off your gains from whatever's up. This is where you're just saying, I'm just pulling off my gains from whatever's worth the most. It's so simple. All right, well, I hope you liked this. Stay tuned for other videos because I got this elaborate spreadsheet. I can do all these different funds back to back to back because I've done them, and I might as well share the video with you. And then I'll add a cash, and then I'll get rid of the Vanguard, not the Vanguard, the VGSIX. I really don't think a whole lot of people did that. I'll do more, but I'll do that in a different series. So I hope you like this as always. If you like what you see, what do? You subscribe. Subscribe. If you have questions, thoughts, comments, put them in the notes. If you have ideas, I'd love to hear them. So we'll see you next time at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel. If this has been a help and you want to support, if you go on, you'll see a little PayPal thing. Click on the link and you can donate to the cause here if you will. I can certainly use your money. You can always go buy my books on Amazon. Just type in Josh Scanlon and you'll find my books there. So we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.